We all want to believe we are good people. You know, the good guy. Friendly and nice. But what if being nice isn't a good thing? What if being nice means hiding our authentic selves? A mask we wear at an enormous cost to our well-being, just so that society will accept us. Today on Pushing Ink, we look at Dr. Evelyn Sommers' book, The Tyranny of Niceness, Unmasking the Need for Approval. And this goes well beyond the Dave Barry quote on being nice to the waiter. Out of everything I've ever read to date, this book may be the most challenging, given society's expectation of niceness and its determination to enforce niceness. The story begins with the assumed nice guy. He was such a nice guy, says a confused neighbor to the media after the family next door is found murdered. The killer? The nice patriarch. The nice father. The nice guy. Okay, so it's not exactly news. We've heard or read about someone doing something terrible and the response from those who knew them or thought they knew them. They were nice. They came from a nice family. They were from a nice part of town. It may seem a stretch to adhere the word nice to someone who murders their family, but it highlights the various ways the word is abused. In this case, nice was a cover for a man who was obviously not so nice. And it also gave the neighbor a cover of ignorance. The father fits society's expectations of niceness. So how was he to know any different? For the most part, Sommers doesn't utilize the word nice to such an extreme, but it is still an enormous problem. She explains how even something seemingly innocent as the inability to give an opinion, to speak up, is in the guise of appearing nice. Over time, it causes significant, potentially disastrous issues, not only for the person being nice, but those on the receiving end. She shares the story of a nice man who went through with his wedding even though he had serious doubts about the relationship. What were the doubts? Oh, only big things like differing religious beliefs and interests and whether to have children. Why didn't he at least say something? Why didn't he speak up? He didn't want to disappoint family, friends, or his fiancée, he explains to the author. He stayed silent. He wanted to be seen as nice. The difference between being nice and not nice lies in that silence, explains Sommers, an inability to take a risk. Perhaps we are nice, quote, silent quote, when a friend asks for our opinion on an outfit, measuring the risk of offending them with an honest review. Is being honest worth the risk of upsetting a friend? For some, even that is too big a risk. And what about the nice fiancé? Was silence worth his well-being against those of his family, friends, and even his fiancée, so that he can appear nice? No, because our nice fiancé, who failed to risk speaking up, went through with a wedding and, unfortunately, years later, a divorce. Now, Sommers is not saying nice is all bad, or that everyone needs to hear our opinion on everything. However, for some individuals, niceness can be problematic. The constant need for approval and to please others. The belief being nice will ease relationships, endear us to others, cover up flaws, and spare us conflict. It becomes a disease to please, with well-known celebrities who've been afflicted with it, from Oprah Winfrey to Jane Fonda. Still, even with acknowledging the problem, the reinforcement and expectation from society can be hard to break. Sommers writes, "We want others to be nice because it makes us feel safer. We do not want people to disagree with us or be too honest when their opinions and feelings are different than ours. Why? Because it makes us feel threatened, uncomfortable, and makes us question our standing, our beliefs. To disagree, we must not only think harder about our standing, but explain it and defend it. There's work involved in defending, and we prefer ease. If we don't defend, however, if we choose silence, it becomes subordination, blind to the high price of gaining the acceptance of others. For some, it may be a divorce. For others, the price could be their safety. Consider the child always told to be nice and polite to others, especially to adults, regardless of their feelings. As a parent, I've watched it unfold, a seemingly innocent encounter with an elder dressed as Santa Claus, his sudden gruff demand from my child, my young daughter, to be nice and smile for him. There was the slow realization of the tyranny of niceness society places upon children, especially girls, and it starts at an incredibly young age. Unfortunately, niceness as a protection, a shield, if you will, is a flimsy covering at best, Sommers writes, endangering and destructive at worst, and only manages to contribute to the despair we seek to avoid. Sure, I could have forced my daughter to smile for Santa Claus, but who would she feel compelled to smile for next? How much power are we giving others by telling our kids to be nice, to be polite?
Actually, I have to go.
No, be polite. You have to be polite. Be polite.
That's another rule.
I must admit, by the time you reach the last page of this book, you will be more than done with that 4-letter word. I had to lay down my highlighters early on or end up with pages globbed in pink and orange lines. Somehow I managed not to fold too many corners, too. The book is enlightening, enraging, and many times found myself asking, why didn't I think about that before? It's a book that will be read more than once. It must be read more than once. The Tyranny of Niceness is an extraordinary but honestly difficult read. Published in 2005, it is both well overdue but also ahead of its time. We are only now beginning to acknowledge how even positivity can be toxic and can undermine our well-being. And even if you think you're not plagued with the niceness disease, you may be surprised after reading this book.